from NBC Bay Area, Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price to face recall vote. And this is obviously going around across the bay in San Francisco. Chesa Boudin, that DA and son of former domestic terrorist, was also recalled. Scumbag, greaseball, bang your wife, Governor Gavin Newsom faced not one, but is now facing a second recall. So people don't want it, but I fear that the machine is far too strong, right? They're going to do whatever it is they want, and you can cry, you can try to do it legally, or you can try to do it illegally, but it won't matter. They're going to steamroll you either way. And for the record, I realize, I mean, this is the Coastal Elite Chaos channel if you've been here for a little while, but I don't want for every story to be about San Francisco and Oakland in the Bay Area, but it's just that bad. It never ends. And there's another story about thieves ruining, destroying the lamppost around Lake Merritt. There's another story about the new professional Oakland Roots, Oakland Soul soccer teams that were supposed to save the city. They were going to play at the Coliseum. Everything was going to be okay. But now, of course, it's not. We also saw that coming a mile away. That later.
Well, it is confirmed. Alameda County voters will have their say on the future of the district attorney's office. Election leaders say that opponents have collected enough signatures for a recall vote. Today in the Bays, Bob Riddell outside of the East County Hall of Justice in Dublin.
And I do think that this district attorney is a huge part of the problem. There's some rumors going around that the criminals in Oakland were calling her Auntie P, Auntie Pamela, because they were going to do whatever it is they wanted. And this is a huge part of why, I mean, I said just the other day, these thieves in Oakland's Chinatown smash brazenly jewelry cases, even though it is well known. This is nationwide, if not worldwide news, how terrible Oakland is. And it just keeps happening because people like Pamela Price aren't going to do anything.
This morning. Okay, DA Price, that announcement came out yesterday. Has she said anything about this?
Absolutely. Good morning to you, Marcus. Alameda County DA Pamela Price, whose office does have a location at the East County Hall of Justice behind me here in Dublin, says that this recall is, quote, simply illegal. The Alameda County Office of the
Pamela Price, the district attorney, who's not doing anything when these criminals get arrested, she is saying it is illegal to try to get rid of her. You just can't make this up.
Registrar of Voters confirms it has received enough valid signatures for a recall election for District Attorney Pamela Price. Of the more than 123,000 signatures received, nearly 75,000 qualified as, quote, valid, well over the minimum needed. A group called Safe or Save Alameda for Everyone spent weeks collecting those signatures to recall Price from office because they argue she is too soft on crime.
Oh, yeah, that's putting it nicely. She's too soft on crime. But it looks to me as though one of the leaders of the recall movement is a black woman.
And anti-law enforcement.
We have a lot of people that will never understand why we're recalling Pamela Price, but then there are thousands of people that...
Okay, so shout out to Brenda Grisham here, but what is going on with her head? She's got like a white stripe. Look, I don't want to make ad hominem attacks. She's doing something that most people wouldn't dare, so shout out to her.
That have been victims of different types of crimes and that thought that they were getting justice in the previous administration, and then to come over into this administration, and it's totally different.
What the county's been doing is picking and choosing provisions in the charter and saying these apply, but these don't apply.
Yeah, you guys have been doing that for years now. We constantly scream about the two-tier justice system, and they rationalize it any way they can. They twist themselves into an absolute pretzel trying to make the same thing a crime for one side and not a crime for the other side. So, yeah, Mr. State the Obvious.
That was Pamela Price's campaign lawyer, who claims the recall is not legal. that some of the people who gathered the signatures were not county residents, and that the county failed to verify the signatures within a 10-day deadline. He plans to make his case when the Board of Supervisors meet to certify the results on April 30th. SAFE is hoping for an early special election rather than waiting for the November ballot. They believe Price is capable of, in their words, doing a lot of damage between now and November. Reporting live here in Dublin, Bob Riddell, Today in the Bay.
Look, how is this actually happening? We see just in 2024 alone, businesses have fled. There's huge, nationwide viral stories of criminals just running roughshod. She's part of the problem. And unfortunately, even if she is recalled, like they did in San Francisco with Chesa Boudin, even if she gets recalled, I'm afraid they're not going to put in somebody who will actually do what works for the citizens of Alameda County. It looks like there's one more video. Let's see what they say here.
Recall Price! Recall Price! After months of gathering signatures, a group calling itself SAFE, or Save Alameda for Everyone, submitted more than 100.
And I've actually seen these, right? I mean, I wish that I didn't have to constantly talk about Oakland, but what can I say? I am from Oakland, so I have no choice. But I've seen people outside grocery stores trying to get rid of Mayor Sheng Tao, who is part of this problem as well. I've seen people trying to get rid of Pamela Price, who is obviously part of this problem, but they're just pawns, really, okay? I mean, there is a much bigger force at play trying to destroy the largest cities in California.
123,000 signatures today collected from voters in an effort to trigger a recall election.
We shouldn't have to do this. But for the safety of our community, the safety of our children, the safety of our businesses, this is something that had to be done.
The group needs just over 73,000 valid signatures to qualify for a recall. Recall supporters say...
And that's pretty strange. I mean, they need 73,000 valid signatures. So who decides what's valid and what's not, right? So is it valid if an illegal migrant hops over the border and tries to vote? That would be valid, but if he wants to recall Pamela Price, which I'm sure he would not, because he's going to be committing crimes to maintain his criminal lifestyle, different story. What is valid and what's not? And those are the weasel words they do. They're constantly squeezing things in to make sure that the machine works for them every single time as they bleed the people of Oakland and California as a whole completely dry.
DA Pamela Price has failed to hold criminals accountable and argue her policies are jeopardizing safety in the county.
Doubt it. She does. Well, yes. Okay. But she doesn't even have policies. This woman, I'm sure, was installed as a human shield from criticism as a black woman and doesn't know her ass from her elbow. There are no policies. There are no policy discussions. This is just part of the regime that is built to funnel money somehow, some way into the pockets of the uppers and destroy. I mean, have you seen Oakland? Go around Oakland. I mean, it's absolutely despicable. Several times I've said now, because there was one story from the SF Gate that says, oh, Oakland is beautiful. You should go check it out and experience the Chinatown. And I said, go to Chinatown right now. It's absolutely disgusting. Yeah, okay. And I think they're writing this with the impression that nobody's going to scurry over. Nobody's going to rush over to Oakland Chinatown, because I guarantee you it is not that amazing. Not a week later, there was a story about the thugs that destroyed everything in a Chinatown jewelry store.
The chaos and terror that unfolded at Fung Jewelry in Oakland's Chinatown Wednesday just after noon.
It happened so fast.
Is unlike anything the family-owned business has ever experienced.
But I digress. I'm getting turned up here.
For the short few months, she's already destroyed the integrity of the legal system. And we lost.
Yeah, and they thought this was going to work, so they had the Asian lady, Sheng Tao, as mayor, which I guess, depending on the situation, you can criticize, and then Pam Price with her fake curly wig, who's not going to do... Look, I don't know her, never met her, but I'd be willing to bet you could not sit down and have a legitimate conversation with Pamela Price, because she is only there to enforce the takeover of the communist regime.
So many of those experienced and good prosecutors
Several prosecutors have left the DA's office since Price was elected. Family of crime victims like Crystal Creech, whose brother was killed in 2019, say they are fearful of how Price's policies could impact their case. While those who are already going through the process, like Virginia Nishida, whose husband was shot and killed while protecting a news crew, have been vocal in their calls for new leadership since shortly after Price took office.
They want a district attorney. They don't want a public defender.
And we're not seeing people held accountable for it. And if they are held accountable, they're held accountable.
You're losing them, right? When you got the pink hairs going against you, you made a misstep.
To a lower standard.
Here's my receipt.
Let's show the receipt.
10 boxes worth of petitions are now on their way to get verified. The county has 10 days to approve the signatures, but Price supporters leading the Protect the Win campaign claim many of the signatures weren't gathered properly and could be fraudulent.
It's really important that people are not faking signatures, right? There's basically a handful of very rich men who've put a couple of $1 million behind this thing.
The group is asking...
Oh, yeah, a couple of rich men who are faking signatures, says the guy with, like, a Irish accent. What are you talking about, bro? These people, they don't care. They genuinely don't care, right? Like, no, it's even worse than that, actually. It's like, not only do they not care, but they would rather destroy you because it benefits them somehow, some way. I'm not in on the scam, so I don't know exactly how it works, but there's just no other option.
In the Secretary of State's office to review and verify each signature. Price supporters also say the recall is being driven by a handful of Price's opponents whose only goal is to oust the legitimate winner of a fair election.
What are the solutions? Number one, who have they put up in place who'd be against DA Price? We've heard no name. What actual policy change would they actually put in place?
Look at this. This is a male version of an awful, right? Like, oh, where did you come from, bro? You've been in Oakland for what? Two or 3 years with a heavy accent saying that Pamela Price what?
Heard nothing. All we've seen is a weaponization of people's real pain.
In Oakland, Valina Jones, NBC Bay Area News.
Absolutely crazy. And then here's another one. This Lake Merritt's historic street lamps are being vandalized. So maybe it doesn't sound like a huge issue, but as we know, the graffiti, which is the more traditional form of vandalism, but things like this lead to worse crimes. And there was another story, 6 months ago of the thieves who stole the pricey bonsai trees from Lake Merritt. So what is supposed to be a cool little hipster hangout spot in Oakland is being destroyed by thieves and criminals. Nothing's going to happen. So you have these, which I guess is, of course, a little bit less offensive crime, but nothing's going to happen to these people. The thugs that broke into the jewelry store, nothing's going to happen to them. In-N-Out left, nothing's going to happen to... I mean, does a successful burger chain like In-N-Out just leave while they're raking in money? No, it's because people are getting broken into and crimes are happening all over the place. But we rarely ever see the stories of those people facing consequences. They say, all around Lake Merritt are lampposts with ornate bases and a string of shimmering lights. In the evening, these bulbs illuminate the concrete path that winds all 3.4 miles around the lagoon. The string of lights used to wrap around the whole lake, creating a beloved necklace of lights for the city's jewel. More recently, however, lakegoers are wandering into places of darkness. In certain places, the lampposts appear to have been sawed off, and the string of lights are missing large sections. The Lake Merritt lampposts and accompanying string lights were first installed in 1925 and have become an iconic symbol for lake lovers. The recent vandalism and thefts are not entirely new. The lake has experienced similar problems in the past, but residents and lake goers are taking notice. Oh yeah, so that's this has always been happening. Yeah, this is not new. As of April 3rd, 2024, 10 of the Lake Merritt light poles have gone down due to vandalism and as a result of falling trees. Oh yeah, so it's been happening for a long time, and it's not all because of vandals. Sometimes the trees fall, and that's what's causing it. Look, I guess they're gonna report on what we already know. Lake Merritt's necklace of lights. It's hard to maintain the lights, and similar problems affect infrastructure in other cities. Okay, it's not. Look at this. Absolutely crazy. I guess the dope fiends are coming for the copper or whatever it is. Yeah. Cities across the U.S. have noticed incidents of theft related to similar light installations, including copper wiring stolen from lampposts, internet cabling, and a slew of other electrical components. Recently, the Los Angeles City Council sought to put together a task force to address the growing number of copper wire thefts affecting their streetlights and the copper stuff that has been happening for a really long time. But when you add this on top of the numerous fleeing businesses, high-profile crimes, the recalls across the board, really, you can't just pretend, well, it's just life in a big city. Nobody's going to do anything. Because I guess that the people of California just kind of look at government or the DA or the mayor as just a blob. It's like, bro, these are people too. They're all people. They need to be held accountable, but they never will. And here's the last one, I promise. Maybe I'll do a completely separate video on this, but it wasn't that long ago that Mayor Shang Tao of Oakland went on TV and said the Oakland Roots and the Oakland Soul are going to play at the Coliseum. And I, of course, said that even if the area directly surrounding the Coliseum, which is known as the crime corridor, where In-N-Out fled from, Denny's fled from, even if that surrounding area were absolutely amazing, the Coliseum itself is still disgusting. So it's not going to bring anybody there. But they say Oakland Roots Soccer Club urges Alameda County and Oakland to seal lease deals. So this, again, is a corruption race to the bottom, and nothing will ever be fixed. And I've urged a lot of people, okay, to get out of Oakland because it's only going to get worse. Every time they replace somebody, even if Pamela Price gets replaced, like I said, they're not going to put in somebody who is going to do the work to make the citizens of Oakland and or the Bay Area feel safe.